Kill Bill's top 5 for sure.
Top 5?
Yeah, top 5.
It's his best. It's his best one.
What are the other 5?
No.
What
It's not better than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is not better than
God, Johnny,
You're just
go
picking all the
read
new
a
ones.
fucking book. Jesus Christ.
It's not better than Pulp Fiction. It's not better than Reservoir Dogs.
Oh my
now
God.
we're talking.
What the fuck? You are so out of your element.
Reservoir
You're so
Dogs
out of
is a
your
great
element.
movie.
It is.
Oh
Kill
my
Bill is
God.
not.
I could
his
take or
best
leave
movie.
most of the rest of them.
Absolutely
So
is
my
his best
question
movie.
to you, Bobby, just accept that your opinion is wrong and move on with the rest of your life.
Righter
What's
than
the
you.
one that came before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? The
Hateful
one
Eight.
where
Hateful
people are
Eight.
into the Hateful Eight. That's right. I was
No,
an
Django.
excellent film.
Django.
No, it's Hateful Eight.
Is it?
And I
Django
did
is
not-
2012.
I very much did not like Hateful Eight. Django was pretty good.
That's
I
weird.
love Hateful Eight. We watched the
his
extended
best
version on
movie.
Netflix.
Not my style.
Glorious Bastards.
That's fine. It's a fine film, but the best Tarantino
Chase,
movie. I don't.
you're
think
only
so.
saying that because it's his first movie before he had any mainstream success and was able to do exactly what he wanted with his films.
I couldn't
You're
even.
that guy. Well, after
I just
Reservoir
like
Dogs,
it.
I don't know. It
I
just
like-
it was
I
all
like-
downhill after that.
I like Guys in Suits. I like Stuck in the Middle with You. I don't necessarily like Ears Being Cut Off, but
It's gonna happen.
yeah. I like Steve Buscemi.
So moving away from this because it can
Name
only
me
lead-
another Quentin Tarantino movie that has Steve Buscemi in it. See, they're all worse.
You got me there. All right. So my question to you guys before Bobby reaches through his camera and throttles both
We
of us.
literally do a cold open, and now you want to stop it.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
We do. This wasn't what I wanted to talk about.
This is gonna be
I
great.
understand, but
this
this
is gonna
is
be it's fucking
for
art.
once in our
Here we
for
go.
once
This
in
is
our lives, we
this is
actually do
cinema.
a cold open instead of having somebody do like some prepared statement, and now you want to ruin that.
Well, no, I'm also very curious about this. So,
Mhm.
you're on the road. You need dinner. You go into this town. Your only 3 choices are Old Country Buffet, Golden Corral, or Ponderosa. Which one you going to?
They're all the same.
No, they're not.
I've only been to a.
I'll go to a
Oh my
Ponderosa.
God. You call yourselves Midwestern boys?
I would
Ponderosa.
probably also do Ponderosa, but
You've missed.
I've
I've
only
forgot
been to
Ryan's
a Golden Corral.
Steakhouse. And the right answer is I'm not going to any of those. I'm going to Lambert's Throat Roll.
Well, now you're talking.
Okay, Bobby wins the discussion.
I'm going
right.
to Aunt Sherry's Cafeteria in Rock Hill, Missouri. Did either of you ever go there?
No.
Where?
Aunt Sherry's? It's a St. Louis
No.
thing.
No.
Okay. Well, we're off to a fantastic
I'm
start.
only vaguely a person in St. Louis. Like I live in St. Louis, but I'm not like a St.
Mr.
Louisian.
Downtown barely
I
lives in
lived-
St. Louis.
I could see the arch from my house. But no, I'm
was
not.
reliving Tom Hanks from Big the first night he sleeps in the big city every night for the last decade.
If somebody took my phone away and said go to Ladue, I would get lost. I would have zero.
You have no
ability.
business being in Ladue, Chase.
Well, true.
I've
I don't
seen
make
how
enough
you
money
live.
to live in Ladue. They would stop me before I even get
Yeah.
there and be like, "Sir, this is not where you belong." But I don't know St. Louis neighborhoods. I'm bad at all of
It's
this.
only neighborhoods here. That's the thing about
I
St. Louis.
know. That's why I'm really bad at all of this.
Yeah, you still go downtown for Chinese food and haircuts. I gotta help you out here.
Downtown's the place I know downtown. I lived there 10 years.
All right, listen. I
know
love-
how to get
I
to
love both
downtown.
of
It's
you. You're
fucking
both-
east.
You're both
If you hit
wrong.
water, you've gone too far.
Fair.
You just think after living here for this long,
You'd think, right?
My name is Bobby. Johnny is
Hi,
here.
Bobby.
Johnny, hello, Johnny.
Hi.
Chase, hello. You've
Hi.
all stumbled into a shit show. I apologize for that. This is episode 322.
Much like me and Ladue, you do not belong
Yeah.
You do not belong here.
You know, Tarantino has actually said that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his best film.
Isn't he? Isn't he supposed to be done making films? Hasn't he made
Is one more.
his number?
He's retiring. supposedly.
Okay, well, yeah.
Do you want to
sure.
talk about feet or anything else while we're doing this, or are we going to
No,
talk about?
not
okay,
right now.
okay.
What's your favorite toe?
We've got we've got plenty of gross things besides feet to talk about tonight. This is a deep dive. We do these once a month. This is a rotation where Johnny, Chase, or myself picks a subject to bring to the table, and we present. Sometimes we give show and tell. Sometimes we give homework. Sometimes we ignore the homework. And we have tonight is a chance for me to highlight the golden era of video game advertising. And we're going to take a look back at a handful of commercials that are ranging from the late 80s to the early 2000s. We got a couple still ads to go over. Some magazine, I believe most of them are magazine advertisements.
They're going to play real great on this audio only podcast. Well, it's not audio only, but
yeah, listen, I listened to somebody talk about first episodes of TV shows without watching them, so I guess we'll be okay describing images that aren't moving.
No problem.
No problem at all. You're a pro at this, Chase. You've got like 5 video game podcasts and 1 TV one. You'll be good. But what we will do tonight is tell you about the games that we've been playing, and then we're going to get into that deep dive where we've all brought some stuff to show and tell, and we'll maybe reflect back on why there's such a reputation for us video game enthusiasts based off of the media's portrayal of us.
Well,
the cruel media. That's who's at blame here.
They've never done anything on their own.
The lamestream media.
The lamestream media. It could never be us gamers. So let's get into it. Chase, you've got some stuff on here I'd like to know about.
Oh yeah, you know me, the gamer. That's I'm always playing video games as shown on the last handful of weeks where I've had barely anything to talk about. But I do have games to talk about this time. So I didn't finish Opus Echo of Star Song, but I did finish what I needed to see out of it, and I wrote my piece on gamersonthego.com, and now I feel like I can kind of put that away. I might end up going back to it, but I feel like I've gotten what I need out of it. So I moved on to the next thing, the other game, my April backlog roulette winner, which was Echo Chrome. Double Echo, which is
Chrome.
It's kind of funny going from Echo of Star Song to Echo Chrome. So there's a joke in there somewhere. Echo Chrome is a PSP game, and it's one that always looked really cool from trailers. It has this kind of MC Escher style puzzle game where it is a little guy who is walking along a black and white world, and you rotate the world to. It's a little bit. I mean, Bobby, you very much like.
Monument Valley.
Thank you. I always forget that name.
Yeah.
It does have a little Monument Valley DNA to it, or vice versa. This game came out before Monument Valley did, but there's just something cool about being able to rotate the world, and now this piece of the world that sits in front of this other piece based on the perspective. Well, now it actually takes it away, so there could be like a hole in the route that this guy's taking, but if I am able to rotate it enough so now this bridge covers up the hole in that, then the guy just walks over it, even though if you turn this perspective around, there still would be a hole in there, but because the angle that you're seeing it, it kind of disappears. It's got it's kind of hard to talk about on something where I can't show off what it looks like, but I think people should go check it out. It's really, really cool. It's a little fiddly.
How old is it, and where's it on?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. I can't remember the date. I can look that up. It originally was on the PSP. I am playing this on an emulator because it's just easier to play that way. I could play this on my PlayStation TV, but I'm not going to do that. 2008 puzzle game.
Okay.
For the PlayStation Portable.
Does it feel old?
Yes and no. Like, it's having this very simple style, this black and white style, and a pretty simple mechanic of just rotating a camera around. It's not. You could make Echo Chrome today, and I think it would feel just as relevant. But there does feel like a bit of jank's the wrong word, but there was one of the things you can do is when you're shifting perspectives, you can get the edges of these I don't know, routes, these narrow bridges or whatever. If you line them up in such a way, the seams, the edges, the lines there will go away, and it'll make one seamless piece. And now your character can walk over that seamless piece. So you kind of start to think about that as a visual language as you're playing it. Okay, if I can just line something up where the seams go away, then the game is telling me that that's just one piece and now it's a walkable thing. And there was one specific puzzle I was playing where you had to line it up just right, and it was just like a very, very tiny thing. And if you changed the perspective even a millimeter, it wasn't going to work. But at one point the seams went away, and I thought, oh, that's how I solved this puzzle. And the guy still found collision there, and I thought, damn, that felt a little janky to me. I felt like they were teaching me a visual language of how to play the game, and here are a couple places, edge cases, literal edge cases.
Hey.
But there were some parts where I was like, oh, that's not what they wanted me to do, even though I feel like I'm playing the game by its rules. One of the other interesting things, it's got like a Lemmings quality to it. You don't actually control the little guy who moves along the shapes and objects. He moves on his own, and he only makes left turns unless he's forced to make. Yeah, there you go. But if he's forced to, like, if there's no left turn and there's only a right turn, then he'll make a right turn. But anytime he can take a left turn, he prefers to take left turns. So you have to use that to your advantage to know, okay, if he's going into this area, it might be a little bigger. It gives him more options of places to move around. Well, he's only going to try to take the left. So now I've got to shift the perspectives to make sure that he can walk these places. And basically you're just trying to get to different points on these shapes, and there will be a multiple ones that you're supposed to get within a time limit. One of the other interesting things is that they don't, the way you play this game is the way you choose how to play this game is interesting, in that there's not really just a campaign that says here are the levels. Here's level 1, then here's level 2, then here's level 3, and you just go through that progression. I can't even remember exactly what they call them. It's something that I'm definitely going to spend part of my time writing about. But one of the options here puts you in just a random level. So it's got a good ton of levels. I can't remember exactly how many, but it just puts you in a random one. So it could be one from what they consider the very end of the game, and that could be the first one you get, and it could be really hard, or it could be one that's relatively easy.
So it's always shuffled?
Yeah, it's like a playlist of shuffled puzzles. But then there's another one where you can just go into the entire grid and see, okay, here's all the A puzzles, A1 through A8, and then here's all the B puzzles, and then all the C puzzles, and then you can just pick and choose from those. But if you pick and choose and know exactly what level you're going to be in, they give you a shorter timer. So they give you 10 minutes if you're playing on the random mode, because I guess that's, I don't know what this puzzle is, I have to think about it a little bit more. But if you're able to choose which puzzle you want, they only give you 5 minutes. And I think the time limit's kind of lame, because I think the game on its own is really nice to just kind of sit back and think about and relax to. I don't mind if they have a timer going and telling me, it took you 10 minutes to finish this puzzle, but I really don't like the idea of having to beat it in a set time. I mean, I guess that's more puzzly, but it does feel like something I would just kind of like to vibe out to, and it doesn't give you that option. So I ended up playing B8 over and over and over again, because I saw it in the shuffle mode and got really close to finishing it, and I just couldn't figure out how to get to the last thing. So then I went into the other mode where I could choose it specifically, but now instead of having the 10 minutes, I only had the 5, and it continued to frustrate me. I'm looking forward to playing more of that, and definitely think I can have some interesting stuff to talk about with the article that I'll end up writing about it. So, Echo Chrome, I think it's pretty cool. I think they should make another one, but it's Japan Studio, and Japan Studio is dead now, so that's also sad.
R.I.P.
Yep.
Nice.
I played another game. It is. Have you guys ever heard of Kirby's Dream Land 2 on the
Yes.
original Game Boy? One of the best Game Boy games ever made. Did you know they made a Kirby's Dream Land 2 DX in the same way that they made like a Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX or a Tetris DX?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, that's interesting, Johnny, because that's not actually a thing they made.
No, I know it's like the Mario Land 2 DX.
Yeah. It's a hack. Yes, it's a mod. It's a hack. Somebody made that. It's not an official game, but yes, somebody went in and colorized all of Kirby's Dream Land 2 like it was a Game Boy Color game, and it's fucking good. I don't know what to tell you. I went in, I played one of my favorite games of all time, and it was cool to see that it all had colors. I mean, you could play this on a Super Game Boy or put it into your Game Boy Color, and it would give very limited colors, like a palette kind of thing in there. But this is great. It's awesome. Cool to see Ku as the purple owl and Kine as the blue fish, and seeing some of the color choices they make for or whoever this hacker was. I'm sorry, I don't have their name in front of me, but seeing what color choices they made for all the different enemies, I just had a fantastic time playing through that game again, and I thought the color was really well done. So
nice.
It's that game is still something that you can beat in a couple hours, if that. I still haven't gotten through the true ending because that game has a real bitch of a problem of you needing a very specific copy ability and carrying that copy ability to a very specific level, and then going into a very specific part of that level so you can break one block that gets you to the pieces that you need to get to the true ending. One of them you get very easily because you get the power right before you go into that room, and all the other ones oh hey, this is an ice block, so obviously you need the firepower, but you can't just have the firepower, you also need the firepower on a very specific animal friend, because some of them won't be able to hit the angle that you need to break these blocks because they fire in such a different pattern. So yeah, I've never seen the true ending. I know what happens, but I've only defeated DDD, and that's still one of my favorite boss fights in all of video games. That music is so good, and
nice.
I really like playing through his patterns. So Kirby's Dream Land 2, if you haven't played it, I think this DX version is a really cool way of going about it. Although, I mean, if you just want to load it up on Nintendo Switch Online and play the black and white version there, that it's a totally great experience on there as well.
This is something I need to check out on my Pocket.
You should. It's easy. Yeah, I played it on my Pocket. It was beautiful.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Speaking of things being beautiful, I fired up the new Cyberpunk 2077 Overdrive update.
And Bobby, how did you take advantage of that?
I just turned on my computer and downloaded the game.
So there's no major upgrades or anything that you've done to your machine?
Maybe.
To be able to handle this? Because I thought this was very hardware intensive.
If we're talking about Cyberpunk, should I T-pose while we're continuing to have this discussion?
No, Chase, you ignorant slut. That's something
Should I take off my pants?
This is it's not
Chase.
2020 anymore, Chase.
It's not 2020. As much as you like to live in the early 2000s, we've moved on.
What did they fix? What's the new issue now?
Well, as Johnny was saying, I got a 4090 for my computer, and that will allow me to do all kinds of dumb shit like this path tracing overdrive. So you both are familiar with the term ray tracing, I'm assuming, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sure.
So path tracing is the next evolution of that technology. I guess the easiest way I can explain it, ray tracing is like a single hit or intersection of light that comes in and reflects, where path tracing is multiple light sources. So it actually like reflects off of reflections. And it is supposed to be the most like natural form of illumination you can get in a game. And they added this on a few things right now. It's on Minecraft and it's on Portal.
I think it's very funny that we go from me saying this black and white game has color now to Bobby going, the reflections have reflections. I think that's
now,
crazy.
old
That's
man.
fantastic.
These games are cool.
I thought that Cyberpunk had a really interesting world, even visually, even when it has problems. This path tracing update, it is really fucking taxing for your computers. And I'm not sitting here at a point of privilege to try and rub it in or at all. You can, if you have I believe at minimum a 3090, you're able to run this, they say, at 30 frames. No, you have a 3080. Okay. You could probably get it. I mean, I don't know how well it'll go.
Probably not very well.
But one of the things that the 4090 does that is impressive with this is that it has DLSS 3, which is going to allow you to do
deep learning super sampling.
Correct. Yes. And it's going to use a lot of AI to essentially rebuild frames. So it's really neat. Like, it's one of the most visually impressive things I've seen on a computer. And we
used to build our own frames. America, we used to be a country, and now we let the AI build our frames for us.
Now we just ask our best friends to build a PC that we hate. But I don't know who would do such a thing. Make us spend multiple weekends trying to fix something that you don't even use.
And be a real shit person.
Yes. But yeah, I checked it out. It's really cool. If you have a means to do so, you should definitely check that out. It's something to behold. If you are a graphics hua like myself, this is something you want to check out for sure.
Can I ask a question? Is the game good anymore?
If you don't recall, I said last year that was one of my favorite things I played that did not come out last year.
Yeah, but like you just went in to see how it looked, or were you actually enjoying the game some more and doing missions?
I loved the game. I beat the game. I will play it again this year when the DLC drops for it. But I just wanted to check. This wasn't
the DLC? This is a separate thing?
This is just this is the update.
Technical update.
Yeah, a tech update.
Got it.
It's a cool game. I had a great time with it. I played it much different than the first time. Did you
find the gun that shoots people in the dick?
I had that gun the first time.
Okay.
Skippy?
We talked about that on the show. About one of the best new characters, if I'm not mistaken. I thought we tried to say he was up there.
We might have.
I should really try and find the time to go back to that.
I had a blast.
Maybe someday.
I had a blast. So yes, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with that. And but what I have spent most of my time doing is checking out that Burning Shore from Horizon. I beat this. The DLC for Horizon Forbidden West dropped last week, and this is in Los Angeles. It takes place immediately after the events of the main game there. And let me spell this correctly. I think that this is some of the best DLC I've played. It does everything you would want. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It actually serves as a really great prologue to the next game. It expands upon Aloy a bit and some of her characteristics. And it introduces a couple new skills that make a lot of sense. You get a new traversal element, and you get a whole new weapon type, completely different than anything you've had in the game before, which is really neat. And they give you some really awesome, you can purchase, and there's a new like in-game currency that you can, it's called Brimshine, and you use that as like a form of payment to buy some legendary gear. So you can get new armor and you can get some new weapons. And I really like all the stuff that they included with it. I don't want to spoil too much, but you all know that you end up getting to fly in this game. You come across a mount that can both fly and go underwater, and that brings some really awesome like ways that there's a whole sequence in this DLC where you're needing to approach somewhere that has this like auto cannon, and there's barrages of missiles and shit. It's just really something to behold. But you're flying to get there, and as these missiles are incoming, you have to go underwater. And then like above the water, all these missiles are going off, and then you fly back out. I will say this, and I stand by it. This is the best looking console video game I've ever seen. I don't know what they're doing over there at Gorilla. I have no idea. I really have no idea how they did
Wizardry.
it. It's insane. It is absolutely insane to see what they've been able to accomplish.
Gorilla and Naughty Dog always find a way to get the most out of these machines.
Yeah.
Would you say does it feel similar to like the Arrival DLC and Mass Effect 2?
A little bit,
Like,
yeah. This
prepping
is
the landing pad for the
this,
final game in the trilogy.
Yeah, you basically know, I think with a very broad stroke, what you will be doing in the next video game.
And I have to wonder, like, how are they going to handle that with the very unfortunate passing of Lance Reddick?
He's
DLC doesn't have any. Was it Silence?
Oh, he's in it
Silas?
very much so.
Yeah,
he is?
like,
Okay.
He's the first thing that you see when you start it, and he's the last bit of the story. Like he's
Right.
really, I don't know how they're going to do it, to Johnny's point, because he seems to be a very prominent, if not like the linchpin in this, what you find out you will be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want me to tell you what's going on, Johnny? Are you going to play it? Do you want me to say what's happening?
No, I do plan to pick it up this year. Yeah.
They also
how long did you put into it? How long did it take?
not very long from like just the story. I did mainline it. There's a bunch to explore. There's a bunch of new creatures and things you can get. I mean, I want to say I put maybe 5 to 7 hours into the story, and there's very, very minimal side quest here, but there are. Johnny, did you ever encounter the Apex variants of the animals?
I think so.
They're just like a stronger version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So most everything here is that, but they got a few new enemy types that you get to go up against, and one of them is a frog, and it is such a fun fight.
See, that's it. I just need to fight this frog.
The frog's great, and then there's a couple new dinosaurs. It's really, really cool. I had a blast with it. I found some new synergies with the weapons that I thought worked out well, and it is really unfortunate. This is going to be a little spoilery, but it's all over the internet, so I don't feel too bad. This is getting review bombed, unfortunately, by bigots, haters, right wing, because Aloy is queer, and they explore that a little bit in the storyline now, and it's optional to a degree, but there is a same-sex kiss that takes place in the story. And people are just losing their mind that Sony has made a woke,
gone woke,
gay character.
Woke, go broke.
So
that's what I say.
It's a big bummer because
just put it on the pile with Bud Light. And
I was gonna say,
Fox News.
The
wokest of brands.
Find some like Bud Light can in a ancient ruin.
But like what's even funnier about this is that even when this game came out, they introduced face paint for Aloy, and I remember one of the prides when this game came out, they added into the game a pride themed face paint for Aloy, and it's like that's been in the game like to a degree from a representation standpoint. Anyway, Burning Shores DLC, it's $20. It is exclusive to the PlayStation 5, so if you did pick this game up originally on PS4, you're going to need to pony up, get a PS5, and check it out there. Again, some of the best DLC I've played. Very focused, does not overstay its welcome, introduces some really cool new mechanics. Johnny, you know how you can do the, like, if you knock a target down, you can go up and do like a big blow, like a strike on it?
Yeah.
They now let you use your grappling hook, and it grapples in, and it does a bullet time event in the air, and it gives you this ring that closes in to like power up your attack, and you hit it, and then you just like slam down on them while it's really
pretty fun,
really cool. So that's what I've been up to. But I think we've all been playing a game that Johnny has here, and I'm gonna let him introduce it, and we'll have some fun conversations there.
Okay, let me me see if I got this right here. Advance Wars 1+2 reboot camp.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's plus. I mean,
Yes.
you could say
Yeah.
and. I don't think it matters
1 and 2
either way,
reboot
but
camp.
yeah.
And this is the remake of the Advance War games from the GBA. They got delayed, finally came out, and I don't know about you guys, but I think Advance Wars is pretty fucking cool.
I
think
never
I'm
played the
on-
original. This is
Yeah,
my
I was
first
gonna
time.
ask what are your guys' histories with the series?
I've played through the tutorial and the first mission on my analog pocket, and
But you never engaged with it back on the
no,
GBA.
I never had a GBA. I went from Game Boy
Wow.
Color to the DS. And look, man, my parents wouldn't buy me one. Anyway, so I was
I
really
also
excited.
wouldn't buy you one. You don't deserve
Thanks,
it.
Chase. Chase, I know that you are a big fan of these games, and like Bobby, recently acquainted with the strategy genre. I'm more curious to hear your thoughts on it. So what are you feeling? What are you thinking
I mean,
about what you played so far?
I really have enjoyed it quite a bit. Chase and I talked at length on Monday night, and we will have a quick look going up tomorrow for it. I even had fun playing against Chase. Like, we had a really good time talking through it, and it was nice because he was kind of course correcting a little bit. Like, hey, if you would have done this, it would have been better here. It was nice. It was a good time just hanging out, kind of talking about the game.
Cruel.
He wasn't cruel. He was honest to God. He was
still
super
rude, but I wasn't cruel.
He was helpful. It was a good time. Like, I can see that being a fun pastime for sure. I like it a whole lot. It seems very focused. What I was worried about, we tried checking out. It's older than this, but Tactics Battle Ogre or whatever it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was just worried that maybe this game would feel a little old, just because it had a fresh coat of paint. But I do think that it feels really good. I think it's snappy and fast, and the strategy elements. I don't know like how informed it was by Fire Emblem or other things, but it still feels like a modern take on a genre that people have been chasing for decades now. And I think that's maybe the best praise I can give it.
I mean, it is weird. Like, those Fire Emblem and Advance Wars are kind of inextricably linked because Intelligent System works on them both, and they're both grid-based, turn-based strategy games. But they are kind of different, and they both have histories on the Famicom. They go all the way back to that original system. Now, we didn't get one of the Wars games until Advance Wars on the GBA. In 2001, but yeah, I think you're right. I think they've done. Way Forward is the one developing this, and Nintendo's publishing it. Intelligent Systems, I think, assisted a little bit, but they're off
to consult, I would imagine.
right, but they're off building Fire Emblem DLC and whatever else new stuff they're working on.
Maybe someday new Advance Wars. If this does well.
I think that's the hope. I think that's probably Way Forward's hope more is, hey, let's see if we can do justice to this, and then maybe you'll let us make a new one, because again, Intelligent Systems, like Fire Emblem, is just so hot right now.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to tell Intelligent Systems to make another game in a series that people care about less than the one that has ended up making you a ton of money, which. It's insane to me that Fire Emblem is a game that makes Nintendo a ton of money. That just doesn't sound right.
I mean, I think Smash Brothers. I really feel that's the one that's kind of done it right.
It absolutely did. It introduced people to those characters and got them into it. So I echo your sentiments, Bobby. It does still feel good. It's I will say it actually. I feel like it isn't quite as snappy as the GBA games. I think those GBA games, I'd have to go back, but I think there's a way to just cancel out of any attack animation while it's happening, and this game doesn't have that. You can speed up, but you can't
turn them off.
You could turn them off entirely, but you can't let one start and say, okay, I want to skip just this one and then watch the other ones. which is something I kind of like to do. Of okay, I don't need to watch every combat animation, but there are certain times where it's like, yeah, I want to watch those motherfuckers burn. That tank unit that's been harassing me all fucking game long. I want to watch that get rocketed to
I
fuck.
want to see the light leave his eyes. When I...
Yes, exactly. And sometimes you can't do that. I mean, so I like having those animations on, but I just want to be able to skip through. And I believe the GBA games allow you to do that. It's a small quibble, and there are ways of speeding up the entire action. So I think they've put in some smart things in there. The art style I think is nice. I think that the original Advance Wars has some of the most beautiful pixel art I've ever seen. So it's hard to say it's an upgrade.
Those sprites are just so good, but like
yeah.
Now that I realized it's like a toy box almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's grown on me quite a bit, and I feel like it looks better on the screen in your hand than it did when they first showed it off in those trailers. I was kind of unsure about it just because, like you, I love that original sprite work so much. But how far are you guys in the campaign?
I am Chase, I think this is like 5 or 6, but I just got to the point where I can start to deploy my own units.
You're just starting to get to the bases.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you gotten a new CO yet?
I am Andy now. I'm not Nell. I've been Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, he hasn't. I mean, he knows who Max and Sammy are because he was able to play as them in the.
Okay, so I just
verses,
got Max.
but
is where I'm at, or I'm
okay.
like the mission past that. I'm doing naval combat now.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the submarines. They let you do some real sneaky shit, and
subs are pretty good.
I'm real big fan of that.
So they do put a percentage of completion on there. So I'm at 48%. On Advance Wars 1. I haven't touched Advance Wars 2 yet.
When do you unlock that?
So it's weird. It has a lock on it when you look at the two games, because it gives you the option which campaign do you want to play. But if you ever just try hitting the A button on Advance Wars 2, it's like, hey, this game's locked.
It says that there's spoilers. Because
it's like, are you sure you want to do this? And then I said, yeah, I do. And then it's okay, fuck it, it's unlocked. Go for it.
Okay. I thought I was shit, I gotta beat this.
It's almost as strong as the lock my dad put on the porn channels as a kid. But
and I was going online and I was searching like, when do you unlock Advance Wars 2 and Advance Wars, and GameFAQs was giving me nothing. They were all talking about the original video game. Like this is not what I'm looking for. And then finally I just went like, maybe it'll just tell me when I try to hit the A button on it. I was like, hey, fuck it, unlock it now, I don't care. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So yeah, you could just start playing that immediately, I'm pretty sure, but they do try to get you to play the first game first, which I think is fine. So yeah, I'm about 50% into the first game. I'm fighting some people from Green Earth. So in the campaign, you very briefly touch upon Green Earth, and then you go off and do more stuff with Blue Moon, and then you go to Yellow Comet or Gold Comet. I think they call it Gold Comet in this one, but I believe it's Yellow Comet in the original game. And then you kind of wrap back around to Green Earth. So I'm in that part now, where it seems like, we're starting to see who the real enemy might be, and we're still just kind of messing around doing some other stuff before we get to that. I never beat the original Advance Wars. I mean, I played that as a kid back in 2001. I was not the greatest tactical strategy head back then. Not that I am now either. But it was something that I definitely ended up hitting a brick wall in, and it was like, I don't know enough of what I'm doing. Okay. There might have been something that was timed in some way, and I just couldn't get past it. I don't think I'm where I was as a kid in this reboot, but I will say I've been having a ton of fun. It's been great going back and playing. They have basically all the options that you would have had in those original games. There is the ability to design your own levels. You can even share your own levels, although the sharing.
How complicated is that process? I
don't know. I haven't seen. I don't know if they just like can give you a QR code or something to share with somebody, or if you can only share with your friends. I don't know 100% know how that works. I will tell you the online, which the first games did not have because the GBA didn't have online capabilities. It's really limited. It limited in a way that I was kind of surprised. So I thought they would just have the versus mode, but you can play online, and it's not quite that. In the versus mode, you can go through. Okay, here's your pre-deployed maps where you can't make any more units, but you just kind of have the ones that you have. Here are some maps that are good for 2 players. Here are some maps that are built for 3 players and 4 players. And in the versus mode, it appears that all you can do is one-on-one. And
Yes.
there's a much more limited set of maps. And that's a real bummer. Bobby and I, our plan was for Casual Monday, hey, it'd be nice. We don't necessarily want to fight each other. There's no way to do like a co-op exactly, but what if he had one army, I had one army, and then we both fought individual armies on the other side, and then once we defeated them, then we could call a truce or whatever and call it a win. And that's just not here, and I don't really understand why.
Yeah.
It seems
also
silly.
I think Nintendo has, especially with the Switch, gotten pretty good at allowing for multiple people, whether it be locally and they do that here, like that is available. But I do think that there's an opportunity to make this more prevalent for an online era. And I don't think every map is designed for 4 people, but I think they should give you the option like, hey, here's the 4 maps we have for 4 people. Good luck, have fun. Or like play some of the ones that you create for 4 people. I think that those are fair. That's the only thing I would like really push back on here is they took the time to add in multiplayer online. I feel like they maybe could have just added in the bots or a 4-player option.
Sure. And it's also incredibly locked down too. You can only play with your friends, and they only show up when they are also online. So and you're not automatically online when you open up Advance Wars. You have to specifically go to the online section and say, yes, I want to turn on the online communications. Where
So,
I mean, we've had games
it's
like
just
Animal
like
Crossing
every
and
other
there's
Nintendo
been plenty of other Nintendo games where they at least let you play against other people. And it's not like Advance Wars has places where you could even write in any text to swear or anything. You're literally just playing the chess game. I don't see why this just couldn't have some kind of random matchmaking of just
Yeah.
putting people against each other.
Yep.
But
Yep, I agree. I
if
think it's
you
really neat.
I will say, if you are interested in that, there are multiple sites that are working on that have like, here is an Advance Wars that we have totally built into a browser. It's like a version of Advance Wars that brings in all of the mechanics from the various Advance Wars games, and it does just have an online matchmaking where you can play against other people. I think it also even has options for asymmetrical play where I could make a move and then say, okay, hey, Bobby, it's your turn. Come to this and do your turn whenever you have time, and send it back to me, and then we can play back to back. Like, you don't have to be playing live against each other, which I think would be really, really rad.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
The DS game might have had that. Dual Strike might have had that mode in it. I can't remember, but I would love something like that. You know, where people like what's the old history stuff of like people sending chess moves by mail.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would love to have that for Advance Wars. I know
Sure.
I talked about it as something that the Mario Golf on the 3DS had, where it had that asymmetrical play where people could just play courses and then let their friends play the same courses and then see who came out on top later. I would love to have that ability to play something like that with Advance Wars, and it's kind of a bummer that they didn't add more to this.
I
I
agree.
think what's there is pretty faithful, but it could be more. Johnny, how about you? What are you feeling about Advance Wars other than you think it looks nice?
I'm way into it. It's been the thing I've been playing every day when I do spend a little bit of time playing games, and it it has kicked my ass multiple times. Like, I'll make one grievous error and suddenly all of my tanks are dead, all my troops are dead.
Yeah, it's unforgiving.
So you gotta keep your head on a swivel whenever you're playing it and really like feel out your moves. And I made the mistake of a couple times like just skipping like when they're explaining what certain units did. It's like I'll figure it out in the process, and then like I lost and I had to start the level again. And I'd be like, okay, maybe this time I'll listen to what they have to say. And I learned like, oh, okay, I didn't even realize I had this ability. So
Yeah.
every time they've offered to explain how a new unit works, I will sit through it and read it and be like, okay, all right, and then I've had greater success. I think so far the stuff with naval combat has been my favorite, and like especially the levels where your objective shouldn't necessarily be to rout the enemy. It should be, hey, you should just get someone to their HQ quickly because they're amassing all their troops over here. You could just sneak along at the edge of the map and like set up a blockade, and you've won the match without really, maybe one or two losses on either side. I think that's really cool. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really digging it. I'm glad that it's finally out and I'm able to experience it.
I will say, when you mentioned the kind of tutorials they put up for the different units, when you start the game, at least when you start Advance Wars 1, Nell comes up, and those are those missions that Bobby's talking about where you played as Nell before you get the actual protagonist Andy. And she's like, hey, have you ever played Advance Wars before? And I said, yeah, definitely have. Cool. Do you want to go through the tutorial missions? And I went, no, I absolutely do not. And she went, well, let's do them anyway. Maybe you'll learn something. I'm like, no, I know how to play this game.
God damn it.
If you gave me the options to say, no, I don't want to go through this, and then you still put me through it, what the fuck, game? That's kind of messed up.
I will say I'm doing the thing where like in an RPG you get the one super valuable item that you never use. I'm that way with their powers because I'm always trying to figure out like when's the best time to actually drop this, and so I've been trying to like when it's available to me actually use it and not get through the whole match because I feel like I've really screwed myself a few times. Like, man, if I just used their power this last turn, I wouldn't have lost all these units. So it's really good.
That is the kind of beauty of Advance Wars, is that while yes, every army has the same style of units to play with, and nobody has any specific like, oh, only this team has this type of unit or anything like that. All of that has parity, but what differences they do make are the commanding officers, those COs, and the powers that they have, both passive abilities and that active super ability that they have. So you have some COs that are better at direct combat. So this guy, he's going to hit you harder with tanks than another CO might. But
that's the one I just unlocked was Max.
So Max is Max is really, really good. I mean, his indirect combats are terrible, but you kind of, I would say indirect combat is for a more experienced player. It's a lot easier to just run up on somebody with tanks that are more powerful than normal. So I think Max is going to help you get through the campaign anytime you can choose Max over other players.
I've brute forced my way through a couple of levels with him.
Yep. I would encourage you guys to just seek out some YouTube and just see some like early tips for Advance Wars. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there who have been putting together stuff of not just the old games, but the reboot camp ones as well, that just give you some pretty decent tips of they can give you some ideas of, hey, here's where you should keep your CO power versus when you should just spam it and let it go. Here are some ways to move units. Here are some units you might not think you should be getting, but you should be making, like infantry units. You should be making infantry units basically all the time. Those are the ones that capture the properties. So if you are just building tanks, which I understand, tanks are cool, tanks are big, they get to do a bunch of damage.
You're missing the larger picture here,
right? Yeah. Like it's a game about economies as well, especially when you have the bases where you can build units. So being able to capture the properties and get the money lead, because having properties is the only way to get more money. Then you can start putting out tanks faster. It is interesting how little tweaks in your game and your strategy can make a big difference when it comes to winning and losing in that. I love Advance Wars. I'm glad you both are playing it. I hope you guys continue to play it, and I hope we all finish it. I would love to see you guys get through at least the first game and start playing Advance Wars 2 and seeing the differences they add. I know there are super CO powers, so there's like here's your level 1, but then you can also get up to like, oh, here's your big level 2, and
nice.
It's going to do some crazy shit. They add a couple new mechanics and new units.
I plan on sticking it out. I don't know where I'll end up time wise, but I'm definitely going to keep moving forward with it.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Speaking of moving forward, we got a deep dive to get into, and I am excited to take a look at some of the video game trailers of yesteryear. So we're going to go through some of these. It's going to be a real good time. And I don't know. I'm just not thinking about this. I guess you'll be a little bit delayed watching on stream, or I don't think there's a better way.
You want to do it. I mean, the audience can get to enjoy them. I've seen some of these before. We'll do fine.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through them. I am gonna play the audio for these. I think we need to for what this is. So we'll have that audio coming through on here. I'll make sure that it's bounced out. But Chase, we're gonna start a little bit more. I don't want to say lighthearted, but I picked a little bit different type of commercials and advertisements than what you brought here tonight. Mm-hmm. But you've got Sonic 2, and we're gonna watch this trailer.
Now, when you buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1, you'll get Sonic 2 absolutely free. Sonic 2 handles stubborn stains, embarrassing bald spots, no problem. It even slices and dices, makes thousands of julienne fries. But wait, you can play it too. This free Sonic 2 is a $54.99 value. You get 2 Sonics for the price of 1. Sonic 2 fits easily into any tackle box. Made from a space-age polymer plastic for years of family fun. And pets love it too. Buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1 and get Sonic 2 free. Act now. Wiener Dog sweaters sold separately.
Damn.
So that feels like something that might be made today, where I mean there's all sorts of parody ads out there. I think this one's pretty good. I also really liked, I couldn't remember it at the time, but that welcome to the next level, that that tagline that Sega has that's shown at the very end, where it's written out in block text and all the letters have equal spacing, and so they don't look like individual words. You kind of have to read it as a single block. I thought that was really cool, and I went, man, that's as a person in advertising, I think that's just a cool look.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
We'll talk a little bit more about like what they chose to do with their advertising. I mean, I think it's pretty apparent that they were going for a very different aesthetic than what we see today. But I do think that like tonally, we'll start to shift a bit here, and I'll break down a few things from just a design standpoint. But yeah, Sonic has, and Sega, they're going to show up quite a few times here tonight. Sega especially had very bombastic, very aggressive advertising. And I think even this, what we just watched, I think is a pretty mild variation of some of the stuff that they later would do, or
earlier would do. Like this is for Sonic 2. Like the ads that I saw for Sonic 1, that is much more of the Genesis does what Nintendo don't, and Mario versus Sonic, and look how much faster Sonic is. Like that feels like a more aggressive Sega, and this feels like the more confident Sega that kind of came after of, oh, we're still going to do interesting weird ads, but we're not going to talk about Nintendo as much because we feel like we know how to make video games now.
Yeah. So what we got here is a Golden Sun TV ad. This
Hell yeah.
was
This is one of my favorite. This might be my favorite video game ad of all time. And it's for the worst Golden Sun game.
definitely looks very intense.
Yeah. Is that audio playing for other people? Because we're not hearing it on our end.
You're not hearing it?
No.
It's definitely playing.
If you hear it in the stream, hears it. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the stream.
Okay. So this was for Golden Sun Dark Dawn, which is the DS game, which is far inferior to the two GBA Golden Sun games. But what I found really interesting is that this chandelier dragon is an actual summon in the game. It's a boss fight actually that then turns into a summon that you get, and it's such a small part of the game, and it's also takes place. It's not like the first thing you encounter. It's solidly in the middle of the game. So whoever went in to make this ad, like I know Nintendo would have had some sort of input on this, but the advertising agency who's making this, somebody had to know that this is in the fucking game. And this is kind of how it works, that there's a woman who's conducting this thing, and it's the friend to this chandelier dragon, and they kind of just built that sequence out and certainly made it a more impressive thing by having the actual conductor. Well, I don't know if she's actually a conductor, but having the whole orchestra there and putting in this more medieval thing. They don't show the game at all. I think that's maybe the most interesting thing between ads of this era and ads that you see now. When you see an ad about Horizon Forbidden West or The Last of Us or any
they don't
of the
make advertisements, they're trailers.
Right. It's just showing off more game footage, which is great. I feel like that's important. You should show people what the thing is, but they don't have the personality that a lot of these other
I don't know if I would call it
have.
I mean, it's definitely something. Personality makes it sound like it's got something good to offer. I don't think that a lot of these, they have something, they have a style. They certainly have, I guess, a personality, but not one that I want to associate with. I'll tell you that much.
But I feel like when you just show game footage, it's like that is just a trailer. There is something kind of flat about that. Even like you're letting the game do the selling for you, and I totally understand that. But this era, the advertisement has to sell the game, not the other way around, and so you end up with these more esoteric, abstract kind of ads. And this one I thought was a really good balance of it's you don't see game footage at all really, but you are seeing something that is an actual reference to the video game instead of a robot playing Tetris, which we might also see later.
Or a baby.
Oh yes, or just a weird fucking PlayStation baby doing weird shit.
Let's see what Tetris is up to. I just watched this movie.
Yeah, do you remember this scene from the movie?
I do. That was a great movie.
The robot zaps the kid in and then plays the kid in Tetris.
Yeah, that's what's happening here. That's
also, the robot has a headphone jack in his head.
That's pretty good.
I think that's a pretty good indicator of how things were. There was a very different vibe back then, not only on how they would show it, but they made all this technology and everything that was happening around it have this very neo-future element to it. Everything back then at this time, especially the early 90s, gaming was associated with the future. And they wanted everybody to be aware of that, hey, you're playing the future, you're experiencing the future, you're touching the future. And I think that they are very adamant about making all these things so fucking otherworldly. It's insane how it all plays out. The next one we got here is Super Mario Land 3.
You're getting very greedy. You are me, Wario. You're very handsome.
Wario, the boy.
Is that Charles Martinet? I don't think it is.
I don't think that is.
I guess I'll watch the stream.
I mean, he definitely sounds Wario-esque, but it doesn't sound like Charles doing it.
So
that doesn't sound like the Wario that we know
no,
of.
I don't think it is. Again, like that's I think pretty mild mannered. All things considered, it's Wario, but it's playing it safe as Wario, and it's cool style. But again, it's not as obscure as maybe what Super Mario Advance 4 in Japan was.
But that was also the very first introduction to Wario. Like that is like he doesn't show. He's in Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins, but he's the big boss at the end. You don't really see much of him. So this is the first time that you actually saw him and went, oh, that's
Right.
That's the guy I'm playing.
I
love this ad. This is
we got to see. So we saw the Mario movie together, all of us at the Draft House here in St. Louis, and they do such a cool thing before the movies take place. And before Mario, they were showing a lot of vintage advertisements, and a lot of them were from Japan. I don't know if we're in there in time or not, but I almost assure you that this was probably shown at that time when they were doing
it absolutely was. I caught it when we were in there, but this is. I swear they made a cut of this for the U.S. audience as well. I know it was definitely a Japanese advertisement. Maybe it's just something I've seen on YouTube, but I swear I felt like I saw this on American TV, where you watch the kids doing all this parkour, running to get to the game store, and this is for Super Mario Advance 4, which is Super Mario Advance or Super Mario Land or Super Mario Brothers 3. Yeah, Jesus, so easy. Nintendo made it really easy. Good job, Nintendo. But I love it. I love that "Who are you" tagline at the end. This is very good. This is peak. This is fantastic, Nintendo. I love that.
Now we're gonna get back to some of that OG Sonic. Let's see what he's up to here.
Hey guy, you're the first serious gamer I've seen all
Oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about, man.
Yes, this is aggressive Sega versus Nintendo. Look at these two games, which is kind of funny to put up Super Mario World, one of the greatest games of all time, up against Sonic 1, which
is not.
I like Sonic, but Sonic 1 ain't it. Sonic 2, now we're talking, but Sonic 1?
No way.
No.
Very fucking crazy. Like again, it's still prevalent today. I mean, we see it with Xbox and we see it with Sony. I mean, there's a lot more people are now arguing over which billionaire company should have more billions, like talking about deals and shit, where it used to be I mean, they still talk about games to a degree, but there was a period in time where like
I want the one with Mario.
Yeah, I want the one with Mario. I want Sonic.
I mean, it's out of the scope of our time period here, but that ad specifically showing off the two TVs reminded me a lot of the Intellivision versus Atari ads. So you had the guy, I forgot his name, but they called him Mr. Intellivision sometimes. And he came in and literally was just, here's two televisions. Here's Intellivision baseball and here's Atari baseball. I think Intellivision baseball looks a lot more like the sport. And that's all he did. It was just for every sports game they had. And eventually they became popular enough that he just did it for every game they did. Here's the latest space game on Atari, and here's the latest space game that Intellivision has. Intellivision has better graphics. It's like, yeah, you just put them side by side like that. I get it. And so having that aggressive, let's just literally put them on two televisions and let people decide, reminded me a lot of that Sonic one that we just saw.
And lastly, here from Chase, we've got the Pokemon Red and Blue Game Boy commercial.
Classic, just classic. That this one's just burned into my brain.
Oh yeah,
I think this was the first thing I ever saw for this, and it was, and then I watched the anime shortly after that. I think I watched the anime before I even had the game.
On your Game Boy, that's where.
I think I did too.
Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, that Frost Blue Game Boy Pocket.
Pretty good.
My little sister had one of those, and I stole it all the time. I have it now. It's in my basement.
Yeah.
So as we start to get to this transition to the next batch of videos, I wanted to take a quick break to point out a couple video game magazine articles, print articles, and what you're going to find out here, I don't know if you all know this or not, but there was a few things that advertisers, ad writers thought gamers wanted.
Case.
They thought that gamers wanted the future, and they wanted that future to be incredibly horny. And there was
The
just
future is
I don't
horny.
know if you know this, Bobby. Sex sells.
they certainly were leaning into that 100% here.
If it worked for hot rod magazines, it'll probably work for video games.
I think that these print ads were incredibly crude and horny, and I think it
I
shows.
remember seeing this one in magazines.
Yeah, like sometimes you got to cheat. Clearly, they're indicating what that would look like here. Pretty interesting to see. Again, very sexual undertones. It's cut off here on stream.
Undertones
or overtones. Sorry, I should say. Let me see
These
if I can
tones
move
are pretty
this.
loud. Some loud ass tones.
Let me see if I can move this up really quick. Give me one moment.
What is happening in this gameplay ad?
I can't move it up right now. This is so down there. It says seriously distracting. It says the new Game Boy Pocket. They're implying here that gamers are just, smooth-brained individuals that wouldn't know what to do without having like they're very like basically saying you have this woman in bed. Why not go for that instead of playing your video game? It's very dumb. Whoops. So let me move this over here. Then I just put these two side by side. I think that this is just real dumb depiction here of some very bold design choices. So we got an advertisement for Frogger. Alan Banks, accountant by day, frog by night. That's just so fucking stupid and dumb. And over on the right, he was a boring Brad until he plugged into the Palamedes. Like that's so basically this is just the lump sum of you cannot be straight-laced and an enthusiast of games. Like you have to be these bombastic fucking weirdos, which
for
we
ages
are.
7 to 77.
But yeah, I put these two side by side there. Very dumb and good. And then again, back to the sex. I remember when he couldn't keep his hands off.
I remember this one.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
of course. Of course. And, moving through it, I don't mind if my boyfriend plays with himself. Now it's just getting down to these fucking idiots. Like, it's just so bad when we see this. And this is like the most stark. If you're listening to this, we do our show live. It's also posted on YouTube. You should just go back and watch this segment on our YouTube channel. And then I put a few of these together. Again, we're endorsing some significant hard drug use with Got Panic. And then I really like this one. Finally, baseball without the chili dog farts. I think that's fantastic for a baseball advertisement. And then sometimes you just got to kick some balls. You know that, guys? Like you just, it's just so fucking dumb.
Stupid.
Do you know the more you play with it, the harder it gets, guys? Like,
Oh my
Sure,
god.
absolutely. Yeah.
Holy
It's-
shit.
and then Game Boy Pocket. Now, look, this one is the most 90s ass thing. It is.
Yeah, it really is.
It's
This
like
is the Play Loud campaign.
Yes, 100%. So I think in theory, this is a really clever way of going about what they were doing here. I think it was effective. It was clearly a 2-page ad. And if you're thumbing through like the effectiveness of this, I think
You're going to stop. You're
You're
going to look
going
at
to
what the
stop.
fuck this is.
as weird as this
Gene
is,
Simmons on the left?
wouldn't you like to know? Hey, Game Boy is more fun than a ferret down your trousers, boys. Did you know that?
Yeah. What does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
He's literally got
literally like, yeah, but a lot of things are more fun than that.
So Chase went through a few things. Let's start with some very weird shit here. I think Zelda, as we've talked about, Tears of the Kingdom's burning up the charts right now. It's one of my favorite things, but Zelda did not always have the impact, I should say, that Tears of the Kingdom might have when it comes to telling you what the game's going to be. So let's start with the original Legend of Zelda commercial 2.
Become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah, I think this really displays the gravitas that Legend of Zelda had.
They're just naming off characters that are in Breath of the Wild at this point, but yes, it's very dumb, and I think does not. At the time, they had at least well, we'll get into it, but Japan had advertisements going, of course. American advertisements were equally as weird, but in a different way. We'll keep on the trend. Zelda also got a fantastic wrap.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's The Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers too.
Oof.
It's so bad.
Yeah, go Link. Yeah, get Zelda.
Remember when everything had a rap?
Yes.
The Nintendo Entertainment System.
Fucking
Is this a deleted scene
Macho
from
Man,
The
Randy
Wizard?
Savage.
Dude, it feels so much like it would be out of The Wizard. 100% did. And lastly here, this is going to A Link to the Past, but this is taking place in Japan. I think you guys have probably seen this commercial. It is wild.
Yeah, this seems familiar. Yes, I have seen this one.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if I ain't doing this in that Blood Moon for Tears of the Kingdom, I don't want it.
We should do that. We should recreate this commercial with the three of us.
Yes.
And Japan knows how to make an ad.
They made some very good ones. God, but this hits. I gotta be honest with you. The song hits.
It's a heck of a lot better than the rap that the two American nerds are doing. So yeah, I'd take this 100 times out of 100.
Wow.
They're getting after it.
And these are pretty, I mean, accurate costuming, and
Yeah,
like
not bad.
Ganon looks like Ganon. It's
Well,
I think that's great.
I'm not going to jump us up to the 2000s quite yet. There's still some weird shit to check out. Most importantly, a game that we all like here, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2. You're a big fan of this, correct, Chase?
Yeah, the best Mario game.
Maybe not the best Mario commercial.
Too much. To find out, we crammed everything into Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. 60 more levels, massive enemies, huge Yoshi tricks, all served up with the latest graphic technology, Morphmation. No more. Sure you don't have room for another little bonus level?
God.
Got our own little Bert the Bashful there.
The big one.
My God, did his stomach explode?
Yes, it absolutely
died.
does. The man died.
That's just the Monty Python joke, right?
Ate himself
Yes.
to death.
This next one, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know how familiar I am with playing Strafe, but this commercial is, I think, a really good. It plays into the stigma that parents had and the fear that was coming with gaming and all that. It's wild. This is probably late 90s, 2000s, I would say.
It's my turn. Trevor, you're not playing that revolutionary extreme combat simulator Strafe, are you?
No? What are you doing?
I want to get some.
No, Trevor, you'll just die.
Yeah, like this is so parody that it feels like
I know.
somebody making a parody of a game from this era.
Now this is it's a 90s style trailer for the Kickstarter game Strafe. I don't believe that this is an old
I see.
game.
Yeah, okay.
But I wanted to bring it in here to show off.
All right. That makes me feel better because it absolutely is just
That.
skewering that style of thing, but it does seem too self-aware for this.
It is very much playing into what we have been trying to pinpoint in this here.
Yeah,
We'll watch the end of it here.
There's definitely like, oh hey, like we made a game like Doom, and we're gonna treat it like everybody treats a game like Doom.
Yeah, very dumb. Very dumb.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So Xbox, we'll start to. Oh, actually, you know what? We're gonna go and pick on Nintendo a little bit more. Not only did Sonic have it out for Nintendo, your friend of mine Crash did.
This is my favorite one.
Yep,
it's so good.
I love these commercials.
I know.
I play it on Nickelodeon all the time. Yeah, there's a point in my life I was very obsessed with Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were.
There was never a time in my life where I was obsessed with Crash Bandicoot, but I did like these commercials.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun. It gets a little bit weirder when we start to talk about PlayStation.
Sure.
David Lynch. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is going on?
This has everything to do with video games. Ace, are you hearing these?
I'm turning on the stream audio.
This is just so bizarre.
It's David fucking Lynch.
Like Sony, I think maybe with their connection to the music industry, like I feel like they had the marketing team that had a finger on the pulse more of the weird culture that they were into, and it led to them creating a bunch of very weird campaigns. I mean, you mentioned the baby stuff, and that was all.
We'll get there for sure.
Stands out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to there. Xbox had a very bizarre "Life is Short" ad. Do y'all remember seeing this one?
Yes.
Yeah, this one was pretty strange.
This one just resurfaced online relatively recently.
It's so weird.
Sony's not the only one that does weird baby shit.
Yes.
I don't remember. I guess I never saw this one.
Really?
Yeah, no,
Nice.
that was not one I remember.
Classic.
So, well, I want to go. We're going to show the baby one that you were alluding to, and then we're going to end with one of my favorite promotional pieces here. So let me grab this one here. Sure. The one that you all been talking about. The of course the now infamous PS3 baby commercial. This is the first time they showed this console off, by the way. This is the first time people got to see it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man font and all.
There is just a hubris that is.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the PS3 is hubris personified in that there's the classic line of we think people will get a second job just to afford the thing, and how ridiculous it was, and the talk about the cell processor and all that shit. But
yeah,
the marketing, I think, continued that trend of what if we just did the weirdest, stupidest shit, because we made the PlayStation 2 and it's sold more consoles than basically anything. We can do whatever the hell we want. And then they learned that they couldn't.
So this next one, I don't know how you all fared with this, but let me just give you a little personal deep dive on myself here as we're wrapping this up. My household was on dial-up internet for a very long time. And Chase, I know that your family lives out in an area where you're still struggling to get fast internet where it's at.
Yep.
But I do remember around 99, 2000, my neighborhood got cable internet. And we were able to, I remember I was able to download more music. But one of the things that was happening at the time was Xbox Live was coming out. And you were able to play with your friends while they were at their house. My parents could not comprehend this. This was one of the hardest uphill battles I had as a kid, to convince my parents that we could use the internet for video gaming. And they just had a real big struggle with it. The whole concept, and at the time you would buy a kit that came with a headset, came with, I think, Ethernet cable. And with that, I can't remember if this is packed in or if this is something that you could go to online. There's an Xbox Live promotional video. And this is some of the most early 2000s video game shit you will see. I highly encourage you being able to listen to this online. Here we go.
Hit me.
I am now loading Acclaim's Revolt. I will soon experience complete oneness with an interconnected global community of game warriors. I can feel the energy flowing through the high-speed Ethernet cables.
Dude, who are you talking to? Are we gonna play or what?
Patience, Grasshopper. One must learn before one can dominate.
Forget that, let's play!
Are you ready, Grasshopper?
I was born ready. My name is Chuck. You cool, dumb master?
You see, we're already signed up. It was way easy, just took a couple of minutes and we're good to go. Once you've signed up, you never have to do it again. Plus, you get to pick your gamer tag, you know, your online identity. Mine's Dark Master. I play every game as Dark Master, and people are starting to recognize who I am.
Oh no,
Wow.
not Dark Blister.
Yep, I'm getting kind of a reputation for my superior skill. Anyway, this is the matchmaking screen. You can choose Quick Match, which will hook you up with any available gamer, or you can be more selective and use Optimatch. Optimatch lets you find the right game at your level or style, or you can host a match where you set all
Bring
the
back
details.
Optimatch.
But that's
God.
isn't that for specific games? Like that's not a
My name is Chuck.
Okay, Chuck.
that's not a system level thing.
This is so easy. Well, what
Yeah, that was for the
Also,
game.
check out those corgi paintings.
I know. I kind of want them for the office here.
Roadhog, there's Oil Slick.
Oh, cool.
Dr. Grudge.
What's so cool, Dork Master? Dude, they can hear me, and I can hear them.
That's the coolest thing about Xbox Live, the voice. Grasshopper's got his Xbox communicator, and so does Roadhog and Oil Slick. And anyone else who's playing can use one too.
I hate this.
You hear that guy Oil Slick? He sounds like a good racer.
That's another thing that rocks about voice. Voice masking.
I didn't remember this.
Voice masking.
You can change your voice.
To fit any game.
There's no way, but is Grasshopper is he the guy who kills the kid in Breaking Bad?
I thought maybe he might be.
I don't think he is, but
You mean-
he looks enough like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about shutting up and starting the race?
Oh my god.
Let's go.
Hey, you know what's funny is that Ubisoft still does this shit for their E3 presentations.
Fair enough.
That dude's a jerk. I heard that you are so going down.
Grass, press the mute button. No.
Oh, wait.
Everything. I have a better idea. Let's mute that oil spew instead. Hey, Dirk, can you tell your
Yeah.
audience what I'm gonna do?
Do they feel like they need to voice modulate the girl because
Right.
obviously everyone would treat her like shit if they knew she was a woman? Obviously. Because this is the early 2000s and that's just what people did on Xbox Live.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Oh, certainly not.
I can't remember if this was packed in or not.
When we add Roadhog to my list, he'll show up on my list.
I mean, where else would you have gotten something like this?
On their website, maybe?
Maybe. I certainly never have seen this before.
Neither
Oh my
have
god,
I.
Chase, this is terrible.
Now Roadhog will get an invitation to be on my friends list.
Somebody had to make this. Like somebody had to.
Now that Grasshopper is out of the way,
This is long too. So like,
Oh, this is 5
this
minutes.
time I'm going to create an Optimax.
We're
so I don't wind up
we're
How many
almost
days
through
on
it.
set do you think they got? Do you think they got this all in one day, or is
Oh
this
yeah.
Yeah, this is
Well,
I'm setting up the game
I mean,
time.
maybe
Once you track
this
the
main
programs,
thing of these two guys on the couch, absolutely, that would have been a day. But to get the other random shots of Roadhog and Oil Slick and whoever the hell else they have here, those might have been on separate days. Who knows?
Dark Master, I accept your invitation. You're going down.
And there's Where's My Car. He's a buddy of mine too. Looks like he's playing NFL Fever.
Here we go.
NFL
Some
fever.
sports.
Where's my car?
God.
While he's playing another game.
You know,
All right, now
really
watch this little game
relevant
invite. There
references.
it is.
They were at the time anyway.
Let's see who's sending him a friendly challenge.
Sweet.
MV player, football dude.
It's like candy from a baby.
And
God.
he accepts an invite from one
That's
of
what
his
Chase
good
said on Monday night
buddies.
when he was playing me.
Now all he needs to do is swap out his game disc and we'll be ready to roll.
Are you ladies ready to roll?
Ready when you are.
Sayonara, guys. I've been waiting.
What do you call this type of ad?
This is what most of this shit was.
Poor. That's what I would call it.
What?
Poor.
Poor? No, you know what I mean. Like, they're in these real life situations. Like, they're in this guy's bedroom, but it's like they're also addressing the audience. I don't know. Like, does it have a name?
There's like some elements of fourth wall breaking
Yeah.
in there.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it has specifically a name or a style of going in and out of referencing the audience themselves, but yeah, that's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing. You know what?
I think I'd rather watch that than the Friends Windows 95 video.
As bad as that was, it did actually explain some things. It gave some information.
It's effective at what it does. It definitely it gets it done.
You know what Xbox Live is and what it does and what its benefit is, and in that sense, it's a success. There's probably a subset of gamers out there, I would say probably a little younger than the people shown here, who would resonate with this and be way into that style of talking and the idea that they could be as quote unquote cool as the people in this video. But
right.
I would say anybody who was the exact ages of these people or higher also would have thought these people were fucking lame.
Yeah, man. So look, I used to love looking at advertisements in Game Informer, Nintendo Power. I used to love whenever a video game commercial would come on because it felt like something I was informed on and could speak to and I felt targeted by. Now, as I'm older, I realize that I didn't like what they're trying to do here, but I think that we talked a little bit about it. I haven't had cable in over a decade. Like, I have not paid for cable. I have not had, I have Hulu with ads, but that's usually just like, you know, the medication that will make you shit your brains out if you have side effects, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But I don't really see video game advertisements. And we talked a lot about it. Like, even if you look at, you know, RIP E3, but the last several E3s before it disappeared, like Sony, I recall very distinctly, like some of their presentations were there was little to no dialogue, and we're just going to show you trailer after trailer. They removed, it was a very serious presentation. Ubisoft, we teased, still brought a lot of this stuff, the same energy, I think, like the evolved energy from this era of advertisement. I think Microsoft would partner with EA, and EA always did the team chatter stuff, which felt very forced and fake. But we don't get this any longer to this degree. And I think commercials are, like, advertisers have not ran as many commercials because cable, I mean, you got your sports events and you've got like your American Idols and The Voice and stuff like that. But AMC had Breaking Bad, and they had up until recently The Walking Dead, and those, from what I remember reading, were some of the last safe havens for advertisers based off of like the demographics watching and like actually having that format like on standard cable. But we don't get a lot of this anymore, and I think it was a very big part of game culture. You would go into a GameStop, they were playing these commercials on the TVs while you're waiting to check out. You had G4 TV, Like all of this as a time and a place. And I think the age of the internet definitely took away from it to a degree, but I have fond memories of these, and it's always fun to go back as an adult and look at them.
Yeah, I still think there's this layer of abstraction that 90s and early 2000s advertising people felt like they needed to add to this to make like a barrier between what the actual video game is and what they want the audience to think it is. Whereas now I feel like a lot of the ads that you do see on TV for games, and there are still a lot of advertisements for video games on TV, but I think they take after movie trailers a lot in that they want to show you what the actual thing is, and games look impressive these days. I think the Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been getting a lot of commercials lately, and so you're going to see Cal Kestis showing up there with his shitty beard, and then you're going to see a couple of quote unquote box quotes from reviews of this is the best Star Wars game of all time or whatever, and it feels less like a video game advertisement and more like a movie advertisement that you've put a game into. Which I think video games in general, especially these kinds that you'd see here, your Dark Souls, your Last of Us, your Uncharted's, your Star Wars Jedi Survivors, like a lot of those are like the games themselves are going for more cinematic movie qualities out of them. And so it kind of makes sense that you'd end up marketing them in a similar way that you do with movies, because they're kind of trying to be movies. Whereas something like, I don't know, you go back to something I talked about, Echochrome. I don't think you would show Echochrome in the same way that you would show The Last of Us if you were making a TV commercial of those two things.
No way. So this has been a fun deep dive. I appreciate you all entertaining my nostalgia and
thanks for collecting all this stuff. This
having
is cool.
a laugh at it. Let's head over here to credits and wrap some things up here for us. So if you are tuning in for the first time, we are a podcast called The Casual Hour. We stream 3 nights a week right here on twitch.tv/casual hour. If you want to follow along with any of those things, you can do so by going to the link here in chat. Otherwise, check the show notes to get what you need. This week, we've had a very Advanced Wars focused week. Monday night, Chase and I got to stream that. You can watch that video on demand on youtube.com/casual hour. We put up 2 quick looks this week. Well, by the time you're listening to this, there'll be 2 up. First one is for Pineapple on Pizza. Go play that game. Don't watch the quick look. Then go back, watch the quick look, and see Chase and I's first playthrough reaction to that. That's something. Tonight was our deep dive on video game ads of the 90s and 2000s. That quick look for Advanced Wars that Chase led is up right now on YouTube as well. And Johnny and I, if you're listening to this in the morning, come back to Twitch on Friday night. We're going to probably play Deep Rock Galactic. We might fire up Grounded. Who knows? But I think probably Deep Rock that night. We'll hang out and do a little rock and stoned action here on the Casual Hour. So twitch.tv/casual hour, which is where you're watching this now. Hopefully youtube.com/casual hour. Like, subscribe, turn on alerts. We have activity all week long. And if you don't have enough and you are just consuming us at a rapid rate, Chase has you covered. Chase, what do you got going on?
I'm going to make it significantly shorter than I did on Monday. One good friend of our show, Pierce Corshane, and I have our pilot program podcast where we watch the first episode of every TV show ever made. The last episode we recorded is on Keenan and Kel. That episode is not out yet. If it's not out before the weekend, it should be out early next weekend. That was a fun episode. We decided what our next episode is going to be on, and it's going to be Bisoujo Senshi Sailor Moon. We're watching an anime, and we decided on Sailor Moon. That'll be kind of fun. So yeah, look for Keenan and Kel up soon. And then also I was able to make a new episode of Chasey K Plays where I'm playing through SteamWorld Heist.
Busy.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's up now. You can go to youtube.com/@ChaseyKPlays, and you can find that that episode there. And those are the places to find those things that I'm doing.
Nice. I think my camera froze, but we are
I think
here.
it did, but now you're back.
I'm back. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We had a lot of fun. We will be back live Friday night right here at Twitch. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.